Jaeger, and I am the Director of Partner Recruiting for Acumatica. I've been on the team for about 4.5 years, and it's been kind of a dream. I've enjoyed so much my tenure and all the partners that have been kind of flocking to Acumatica from other vendors that have seen that this product and our company has a lot to offer, and we've kind of made ourselves known as a mid-market cloud-based ERP solution. So we don't have any legacy product. Our product was developed from the ground up to be a true browser-based cloud solution. And the way we go to market is unique. We feel very strongly that our mid-market clients are best served through partners. So we exclusively sell our product through a channel of partners. We don't sell anything direct. And of course, to augment and help us get into even further reach and address the needs of even more customers, we have quite a number of ISV solutions, like what you'll be seeing today from Ida at eazystock. So if we talk just momentarily about the product, Acumatica is unique in a number of different ways. We don't sell our product based on users, so we really have a very inclusive model. We'll size it appropriately for our customers right from the beginning, and then they can grow without penalty and add users at will. That's something very different. Also, as a true cloud solution, our competitors will lock you into one way to invest in the product and one way to deploy it, which is through subscription as your only investment option, and in their cloud as the only deployment option. That's where Acumatica differs. We like to give our partners and our customers choices. So Acumatica can be deployed in our cloud, in any public or private cloud, and it can also be deployed on premises if you'd like. And the customers can always choose whether they want to subscribe to the software, or if they prefer to purchase it, they can do that as well. So again, if anybody's interested, you can go to acumatica.com and find out a lot more about our product. You can Google Acumatica and YouTube and find all sorts of recorded videos. And today, though, what we wanted to do is show you one of the ISV solutions that really helps to extend Acumatica's functionality. We do have a very vibrant and robust group of ISVs that have add-on solutions and products for Acumatica. So thank you for spending some time today learning more about eazystock and the purchasing automation. With that, I'll turn it over to Ida, and you can introduce yourself and start the presentation.
Thank you so much, and welcome everyone to the Acumatica Purchasing Automation webinar, How to Ensure Customer Satisfaction. This presentation's going to run for approximately 1 hour. We're gonna spend some time looking through some PowerPoint slides, and then we're also going to go into the live demo system environment, and I'm gonna take you on a little tour in eazystock. And as Adrian was mentioning, feel free to put your questions in there, and we're gonna answer them in the end of the presentation. So eazystock are from a company called Synchron that are our world leading in inventory optimization for enterprise companies. And eazystock are a business area within Synchron that focus on small and medium-sized businesses. So my name is Ida Danielson, and I work as a customer success manager here at eazystock. So what I'm doing is that I'm a part of the process when we get prospects in the sales cycles, also taking care of them when they are getting started with eazystock. And also after, when you are up and running with eazystock, I'm kind of your one point of contact that you would go to if you have questions or want more training, for example. I've been with Synchron eazystock for the last year, and I've been working in Sweden, Australia, and right now I'm based here in US, and I'm working out of our Chicago office. We also have offices in Atlanta and Palo Alto. And please feel free to add me on LinkedIn. And if you have any further questions, take my email address there and you can shoot over an email after this presentation. So, Acumatica, the cloud ERP for efficient employees. The majority of you in the audience here today are either using Acumatica as your current ERP or maybe are looking into Acumatica as your future ERP system. Acumatica, as you know, with its wide array of powerful add-on software, are a modern, easy-to-use ERP that enables employees to work more efficient with modern tools and make better decisions with insightful information. And one of those powerful software add-ons are us, eazystock, that has a seamless integration with Acumatica that enables more efficiency and power to Acumatica's user. And during this presentation, I'm going to take you in a little 10,000-foot view of eazystock. We have much more functionality available than what I'm going to be able to present to you today. So as I mentioned before, if you're further to dig in more to eazystock, just feel free to reach out to me afterwards and we can discuss that. So how does the future look like for purchasing? As many of you may have heard, the market foresee more automation and optimization. You know, for example, drones are delivering package these days. We have artificial intelligence. We have self-driving cars, etc. But what does all of that? But what does actually the market say about our purchasing departments? So we at eazystock foresee that the purchasing departments to be more automated and work more with the 3PL software companies to automate the replenishment processes with seamless integration. So it's going to be less time spent on hands-on strategic work for the purchasing departments and much more maybe invested in new project and maybe, for example, more strategic works related to negotiation of purchase prices, etc. So these kind of more advanced inventory optimization tools has been available for a very long time for the more enterprise business solutions, but are now also available and affordable for small and medium-sized businesses due to the cloud and also that we're having more standard solutions with standard integrations. So, which tasks are going to be automated? So it's a lot about math and algorithms. And as you know, a lot of you out there have thousands and thousands of part numbers in your warehouses. And often you're very good at projecting small portion of them and focusing on all of them, but maybe not your total account of items. So what will happen is that automation will kick in primarily to calculations such as safety stock, reorder points, order levels, optimal order quantities. We also see that the computers and the software taking over the calculation based on each part's demand pattern, trends, maybe also not only creating order proposals, but also automatically approving them based on some policies and framework you set. You will also have access to pre-configured reports and KPIs. So this means that those who are working with planning and purchasing will have a much better support and more insight into the work when they get to help with the calculation and can become more strategic in their daily work that they're doing. So what is the typical inventory pains that we see, that we come across when we are out talking to customers and prospects? Of course, we have a lot of time-consuming manual administration. A lot of people are calculating in Excel. A lot of excess inventory that is tying up too much capital in stock. You will have poor service level to your customers because you are not quickly enough reacting to trends in the market. You have a lack of inventory control and what is your target service level, fulfillment rates, etc. you would like to have to your end customers. and you have high risk on run of goods, for example, maybe, and it's highly costing you a lot of the rush orders that you need to place to fulfill those run out situations. You might we also come across a lot of a customer that has a low product turnover and lack of the visibility over multiple stock locations. And all of this leads to cost of inefficient processes going up, your warehouse costs going up because you're stocking more parts, maybe need more space. Your inventory, the risk in the inventory you are putting on the shelf is going up. And at the same time, your customer satisfaction might going down, which will have an impact on your sales, your competitiveness, your brand awareness, and also your capital to invest in other projects in your company is also going down. So it is actually very few departments that can impact the company's processes and profitability as much as a purchasing department can. Because if you are over purchasing, you're tying up too much capital. If you're under purchasing, as I mentioned, your customer satisfaction will go down and so forth. So the purchasing department has a very important role in the whole company. So the question is, should you kind of invest in a new technology, or should you maybe lose competitive advantage? And maybe you should also take a couple of seconds and ask yourself, how do you prioritize and optimize your resources and your staff's time in the best way? So moving on a little bit, and this is a customer to us that's been around for over 5+ years. Their name is ErgoFast, and we help them to increase their service level with 12%. And at the same time also reduce their excess stock inventory. And if you are interested in learning more about eazystock's customer, you can go to eazystock.com/customers. Moving on a little bit and talking about our company. So as I mentioned in the beginning, eazystock is a part of a company called Synchron. And Synchron has been around for many years and are world leading in developing and deliver inventory optimization for big enterprise accounts. And in the bottom of the page, for example, you can see some of those brands that are today using the Synchron solutions, such as Daimler, Volvo, Electrolux, Toyota, and so forth. We have users in over 100 countries, and our headquarters is in Stockholm, but we also have offices in 14 different locations around the world. At Synchron, we have approximately 300+ people working. A majority of those are working in R&D. It's extremely important for us to invest money and time and resources into R&D to stay ahead of our competitors all the time and develop the product. And then eazystock are built on the same platform as our enterprise solution, and it's fast, simple, intuitive to deploy. We also are fully cloud-based, which make us deployment quick and easy and at a low cost for our customers. We have pre-configured eazystock with industry-backed best practices that we have learned during the years working with different industries around the world. And eazystock also have multiple releases per year with new functionality that is all included in the SaaS license. And also similar to Acumatica, we do not charge our customer based on users. So there are unlimited users for eazystock when you sign up for using eazystock. So the question is then a little bit, how does it all works? And I'm going to go through some functionality here before we jumping into the actual system. But in eazystock, we have 3 main modules. The first one is what we call the forecasting module, that making sure that each and every part are classified into one of these different demand types. We also have a module that takes care of our stocking policies, so what items should be stocked and what items should not be stocked. And then we also have how the strategies that you create around centralized and decentralized planning of your warehouses. So should all your, excuse me, all your purchaser and buyer be sitting in the central warehouse, or should it be out on the different branches or locations you have around the world or around in your region? You also, in eazystock, has availability to different KPIs and reports dashboards. But let's talk a little bit more about the different demand types that we have. So in eazystock, we have 9 different demand types, and they are understanding the individual's items demand pattern during its whole life cycle. So for example, a part number maybe kick off and you have a new demand type, maybe moving over to selling a little bit more, so it can become lumpy, positive trend before it's become fast moving, and at the end it's going to die off and become obsolete. And based on where in this life cycle the item are located, eazystock use different forecasting methods and algorithms, and also different safety stock calculations. And it also goes in controlling the different target service level you would like to have for each and every single item in each and every location. Then you also have the inventory optimization. So this is kind of your framework that is controlling what to keep in stock and what not to stock. So what it does, it looks at your pick frequency. So how much have you been selling? So the items that are selling the most are in the bottom of this matrix. And the items that has the highest sales value for the last 12 rolling months are also going to be classified into these A classes here. So then based on that, you set up a policy that's automatically controlling if a part should be stocked or not. It's also, each and every item is also automatically reclassified depending on how it has been selling in the past. So for example, you can have an item that is not selling at all, and then it starts selling more and more and more. And as it starts selling, it have more and more picks and moving down in the matrix. eazystock also recommends automatic order proposals. So not only that we automatically recalculate your optimal safety stock levels, your order quantity, how much to buy from the suppliers and so forth, we can also generate these order suggestions and automatically ship them off to them. To the supplier if you want to. And maybe you typically only do this for the items that is very high movers that you typically don't need to spend that much time and look into, and maybe spend more of your time looking into those that maybe not selling that frequently. eazystock also comes with 5 predefined KPIs. So we have the stock value, that's measuring your stock value over time. Stock turn, service index, which is a measurement on how well did you purchase for the future demand that you have. We also measuring service level and sales value. In eazystock, we also have a module that are controlling seasonality. You can either let the system detect a seasonal pattern on a item level, so it's calculating and applying a seasonal profile by item, or you can, for example, create your own seasonal curves that you know happening and then attach items to that specific curve. We are also supporting multi-location planning, and we call it redistribution. And what that means is that if you have multiple warehouses and you have excess stock in one specific warehouse, and you need that same item in another warehouse, we would then, instead of telling you to order it from the supplier, we would instead tell you to transfer it within that internal from that internal warehouse. And we also have eazystock. You also can have eazystock on the go as your inventory control. So we both support with an app, and you can also have eazystock on your iPad if you like to. So we have a seamless Acumatica integration. So what you as a user need is that you log on to eazystock through our URL. There are no additional cost or setup fee for this integration, and the upgrades are safe. And how it works on a high level is that we are getting data from Acumatica that is related to items, so part number, unit cost, lead times, etc. We are also getting demand, so sales orders or work orders, for example, that is going to drive the forecast. And we also getting the open purchase orders, so we know when the goods that you are waiting for are going to arrive to the warehouse and can plan our replenishment and execution based on that. So that's loaded to eazystock, and then in eazystock you would get recommended orders that you either approve manually as a user, or you let eazystock automatically approve those and go back to Acumatica, and then your already existent process with your suppliers is taking place. So either if you fax them or email them, for example. So one-click integration. So get up and running with eazystock. We need a URL to your Acumatica instance. We need a company name, password, username, branch, warehouse codes, and users. And we would then in eazystock, we would type in that URL and set up the company and password and so forth. We would test the connection, making sure that it works. We would type in those warehouse codes, and that's going to be displayed in eazystock, and that we would like to transfer the data from Acumatica to eazystock 4, and then create some users. So Joseph and Maxwell here have been created, and then off you go, and you're ready to load the first set of data from Acumatica over to eazystock. So I'm gonna take you through a live, let's jump into eazystock instead and take you through a live presentation in our demo environment. Let's see if it's still, or if it's timing out. No, it still works. So I hope everyone can see this okay, that it's not too small. So what you do is that you will get an URL address and you log on to eazystock through your web browser. And first of all, I'm going to take you to something that we call the summary report. The summary report can be set up by different owners. And by that, we mean, for example, if you want to look at your different warehouses or at a item group or at a for all your warehouses, for example, you can have different hierarchies that you're looking at here. So I'm going to look at our customer 1, which is our warehouse 1. And this screen is kind of giving you a summary on how are your warehouse performing right now. So if we look here to the right, we have something that's called demand type summary. So it's going to show here in neat pie chart how your part numbers are located in these different demand types. You can either see on forecastable demand value, so sales value, item count, or maybe the most interesting piece is the stock value. So here you can see that actually 39% of your items are classified as fast and are located here in the fast group. You do have 10% that actually has a negative trend, so it would be interesting to look into those and see why are the sales going down. Below the pie chart, you also have the data listed here in a table, both with part numbers, stock value, and forecasted sales value. Over to the left here, you have what we call a inventory summary. So the green is what we call healthy stock. Then you have something called excess stock, excuse me, and this can be items that are moving and they are selling, but you are keeping too much in stock compared to the forecast that you have for these items. And on the top, you have what we call obsolete, and obsolete are different. In our case, we classify it as items that hasn't sold at all during X month. And X could be 12 months or 24 months or 10 months, depending on your business and how it's set up. So that is a parameter that we easily change. At the bottom of the page, you get a quick snapshot of your KPIs and last couple of months. So you have the stock value, the stock turn, service index, service level, and sales value. And you can see for total, so all your parts in this specific warehouse, the ones that eazystock classify as non-stocked and the ones that is classified as stocked. On the top of the screen, you also get a order line summary. This is showing all the pending orders that eazystock has recommend you to order today, not to run out of stock. And right now we can see it's a total of 148 and a value of approximately $900,000 US. And in the middle of the page, you have a system alert summary. So there are many different alerts in eazystock, and some of them are only for your information for the user, and some of them could be interesting to take a look at and maybe dig down a little bit deeper into what is it that's happening. So for example, stock for non-moving products. And if you want to take a look at those and see them one by one, or the items listed, you go to the items alert report that we have here. But I'm gonna take you to a screen that we call the inventory policy simulation. So I talked a little bit about this in the PowerPoint presentation. And this is kind of the framework that you set up to control your items in, for example, one warehouse. And it's going to decide, as I mentioned, what item to keep in stock, what item not to keep in stock, what is the different target service level you would like to have for your items, how frequently are you going to replenish them. So this is setting up all your targets, and when it's done, the system's going to start working to achieve those targets. So for example, here, if I click, I can see, if I clicked on this little box here, I could see that my settings for that specific box is target service level of 99, 70, 90, depending on which of the different demand types they have. And as I mentioned, here we have the pick classes. So the more frequently an item are selling, they are in the bottom of the matrix. And the higher sales value they have, they are far to the left in this matrix. So typically, as maybe many of you know, it's the 80-20 rules. So 80% of your inventory value, or your sales value, sorry, I should say, are going to end up and represent 20% of your parts. So the important critical parts are going to be located down here. Below here, you can, for example, see with this matrix that we set up, we have had in total 15,744 sales or lines or picks or hits the last 12 months. By this matrix, I am covering 99.70% of those. And for my stocked items, I'm going to have a 98.65% target service level for those. I'm going to have a target stock value of $2.5 million US. And today we currently are having 4 million in our total stock value. In total, we have 943 part numbers in this warehouse, but I only need to stock 415 of those. So what you also can do is to say, I'm not going to stock any of these items that has been sold less than 4 times the last 12 rolling months. And if I then click simulate, I would get this new stocked listed here, and the differences between the stocked and the new stocked, and see how that's affect. So I can see, for example, that I have my target stock level is decreasing by $75,000 US. I'm going to have stock 169 less items, for example. And if you, for some reason, are interested to dig down to some more details here, you can click on this little blue hyperlink, and you would get a new pop-up that actually shows you what's going on behind these different boxes. So right now I can see how many items are located in each and every box. I can also see the stock value that they have and the target stock value I would like. So I press search. So just to give an example here, in P8A1, I have 9 items. The stock value are 451,000, and I actually should have 587. So this indicates that I should stock more of these items. But on the opposite side here, for example, in B3 and P4, these 6 items here, I'm currently carrying 343,000 US. I'm actually fine just to carrying 21,000 of those. So here I see a potential in reduction. So this inventory policy simulation is typically what we relate to a strategic work. So this is nothing that you are not going to go in here each and every day. You maybe review this every 6 months or 12 months, for example. But this is the framework that's going to control 95% of all your items. But then, of course, there are some items that you need to treat differently. For example, if you have critical parts or you have contract with a supplier or something like that, that you always should keep on the shelf no matter what, then you have to treat those a little bit differently. So also moving on to a little bit more strategic related work is, as you maybe remember from the summary screen, I show you the excess, the yellow, there was the excess stock that we have. If you want to dig into some details around that and maybe have your team focusing on reducing that stock, you can go to a report that we call excess stock. This report you can easily filter on warehouse, or if you have different buyer codes, or if you, for example, want to see the minimum excess stock value. If you want to look at a specific supplier or demand type, you can filter on that, and that's gonna list out those specific items. I'm just gonna click search here and show you everything. So here on the top, you have a summary, and you can see that you have a total number of 506. You have a total value of excess stock of 1.7 million. Almost 700,000 of those are actually the ones that we classify as obsolete or non-moving. So they're either almost going to be dead or already dead. So what this report is going to give to you then is the part number, which warehouse are we looking at, who is the buyer, what is the forecast, the demand type, the stock balance we have right now, do we have any open purchase orders coming in, can we redistribute anything within our warehouse locations, and what is that value. And based on the stock on hand, the forecast we have, the system has calculated that 38 out of those 40 are excess. They have a value of almost $300,000. And if you wouldn't do anything, it's going to take you kind of forever to burn them off with this current forecast that we see. So that's how you can look at that and filter through these and make a strategic decision. Can you ship it back to the supplier? Should you run a campaign promotion to eliminate this, or what should you do to work with this? So I'm going to move over a little bit to how do you work in eazystock kind of on a daily basis, because eazystock going to be fed with data, and then based on new stock levels, etc., you're going to have recommended orders that you should place to the supplier here in your recommended orders screen. So typically this is the first go-to screen for a purchaser. And once again, you can filter on warehouse, buyer code, suppliers, etc. I'm just going to click search here. And if I click here, I can get a little summary. So right now I have 148 part numbers waiting for me to be approved and shipped off to the supplier, and the total value are almost $900,000. So this is the same as we saw in the summary screen, but here we have the actual report with the items. So here we have part number, buyer code, demand type, forecast, who is our primary supplier. We do have recommended order quantity, and we also have order quantity. So we always give the possibility for the user to change this, because you might know something, someone just called and tell you order 200 extra of this or something like that. So we always give the user the possibility to override what the system recommend. You will have the value. You can see if you have any minimum or multiple constraints from your supplier, for example. Urgency is in days, so how urgent is it to place this, forecast the next delivery, and so forth. So depending on, customer typically works different from in this screen. Some are filtering on the supplier, some are filtering on how urgent are these orders to place. Someone do the high picks item first, and so forth. But here they have all the information they need to easily just approve and ship this off to the customer. So these are the orders you need to place to be proactive and not run out of stock. Then afterwards, you typically also have to take a look at what we call the risk of runout report. So this can actually be, you might have open purchase orders for these items, but you have a risk to run out of stock anyway, because the arrival date on the PO are later than what we forecasted when you're going to burn off that inventory that you have. So here you also have part numbers, buyer codes. You can see how much we estimate that you would kind of lost sales potential if you do not have the item on the shelf. How much is that worth in money? And you can see here that you have 95 on hand right now. And since you have approximately burning off 90 per month, you're going to be covered for 32 days. But then we know on the PO that we have that it's not going to arrive until 32 days later. So here maybe it's a possibility to call your primary supplier and have it in an express order, or maybe you can go to another supplier to to just cover for that specific potential lost sale that you see. And if you want to look into a little bit more details, you can just click on this and you will get a pop-up. And here you have something called stock prediction. And here you can see this is today, and this is in 32 days when we estimate based on the forecast that we're gonna run out of inventory, and this is the potential lost sales or shortfall we might have based on that. And also, maybe you as a user would like to look into some more specific details about this part number, for example, then you can click on that blue there, and it's a hyperlink, and it's going to take you to something that we called a worksheet. So here you have even more details around that specific part number. And as you can see, you have the part number, warehouse location, lead time. You have stock balance details, stock on hand, open purchase orders, target stock, for example. It ties back to the inventory policy matrix. So in this specific case, this item is a stocked items in pick class P8A1. We have been selling this for approximately $400,000 US the last 12 rolling months, and we have a target service level of 98.8% of this specific item. Here in the middle, we have some forecasting details. So you can see the base forecast. If we have here any demand type, so we can see that this is a positive trend. What is the trend that we see? We are also measuring, when it comes to forecasting, standard deviation, smoothing factor errors, etc., etc. So that's also taken care of. And in the middle of the screen, you have the replenishment parameters. So here, the system mathematically calculates for you the order level or the reorder point, and the safety stock, for example. And the system will also calculate for you an optimum order quantity. But you might have some constraints from your suppliers. For example, here I have to order at least 30 every time, and I have to order in batches of 15. So the system mathematically going to round it off to 30 when you do the ordering, and then multiples of 15 after that. To the far right here, you have the historical sales, the blue bars, and then based on that, you have the orange, that is the forecast. And as you can see here, over the time, we have had some positive trend moving forward here. You can also look at those specific picks here or order lines, so you can see customer name, order number, when did they request it, and demand quantity, and so forth. And also you can do adjustments to the forecast if you want to, either on item by item level or on all items, for example. So just quickly showing you here that you can do a addition and say, for example, I need to have an additional 100 of value. I click add, can type in a comment if I want to, and then it's peaking here in the forecast for you. You can also see here at the annual demand your historical sales over those past years that you have had, and how they're represented in blue graph and in green graph. So that was kind of a quickly just 10,000-foot view of eazystock. I'm seeing a little bit mindful of the time here. So I'm going to move back to the PowerPoint presentation and take you through the last kind of slides. So let's just talk a little bit about business cases and how to get started. So this is one of our customers that has reported this kind of improvements. It's they increased their customer service levels by 12 percentage points. They reduced their total inventory by 22% and their excess inventory on their active parts with 35%. And it might be good to take a little bit of time and think of what could you do with your company if you could free up A, this kind of capital, and B, this kind of time as well. The productivity gains for another customer was also by a customer called By Ridens, and they have reported a 67 decrease in time spent on calculating, forecasting, and reorder points. So they did instead, they took those that time that they saved and they invested that in strategic work and pursuing new growth in new markets instead. So who are the winners then of an efficient inventory management system? Of course, first of all, you have the ones that are doing all the daily work, such as purchasers, planners, and product managers, for example, who can focus their time on better things. Then on the other hand, you also have the sales department, which might easily pick up on items that has a positive trend, a negative trend, and see a little bit more into the future and estimating sales forecasting measurements. And then you also have the management and the owners, such as the CEO, CFO, and the stakeholders. They want to know how well are my warehouse or my company performing, and they can easily get access to that kind of data just by, logging on to the summary screen and looking at the excess stock reports and those kinds of things. So how do we get started with eazystock then? So we have defined 8 different steps. So first of all, we have what we call a 1 to 2 days definition workshop. Depends a little bit what functionality that is required. But then we will sit down together with the customer and I'm asking questions about where your suppliers are located, how many warehouses are included, how does your supply chain setup look today, just to get to know you better and understanding your business. Then we would set up the Acumatica connector and create your company in the cloud. We would load over the data from Acumatica to eazystock. We would have to validate the data that is coming over, and we would do this together with the customer. And here typically there are some master data cleaning, maybe taking place and updating of lead times and etc. After that is done, we would also do together with the customer some result validation. So for example, the number of items that we loaded, is it in line with the scope and the stock value and so forth. And we would do some system testing as well. And here, after you've been working through a little bit with eazystock, you have been thinking more and more about how do I want to set up my business, how do I want to run this. You might adjust some parameters as well in eazystock. And then after that, we would have something called a super user training where we would both focus more on the functionality in eazystock, and then also we would sit together and work in eazystock and show you a little bit the most efficient way of how to work in the system. And then afterwards, the customer is ready to get started with eazystock and up and running, and myself as a customer success manager will always be there for support afterwards and the one point of contact if you want more training or if you have questions or those kinds of things. So why should you choose a cloud service then? It's a prepackaged software license models with, as I mentioned, unlimited users And we have a clear and defined delivery model that's been used many, many times with our customers and developed over many, many years. It's a low-risk investment for the company. You are paying for 1 year at a time and can easily quit using the services if you want to. And as I mentioned, the product updates are included in the subscription as well. And what could be worth mentioning is that we are using Amazon Web Services as our supplier, which is the same as Acumatica as well. So if this sounds interesting to any one of you out there in the audience and would like to, get help to present this internally to your management or stakeholders, etc., feel free to reach out to me and we can come up to a plan on how to do this together. So with that being said, see if we have any questions here. I have a couple of minutes.
Thank you so much, Ida. Great presentation. It's always nice to learn about new technologies and how you can automate business processes with Acumatica and all the different solutions that are available with that robust application. We do have a couple of questions, and I am going to launch a poll really quick, just while we're announcing the questions. So if you can just take a minute to answer these questions, that would be great. Are you interested in learning more about any of the following? So if you can just indicate if you're a new partner learning about Acumatica, we would love to know if you're interested in having a one-on-one conversation with Dawn and her team over there at Acumatica. And then if you're interested in Acumatica purchasing automation at this time, if you could just take a minute to answer that, or not at this time, that would be great. And let's see. So Ida, do you currently have a partner program? How would a partner go about getting certified on your solution?
Oh, great questions. Yes, we do. We have a couple of different kind of partner programs that you can sign up to if you want to. And just a high level, the basic one, maybe you just want to be a referral. So you just want to send referral to us if you want that, or if you want to get trained and so forth, you can do that as well. But I have some more material on that I can send over to the person being interested and give you some more brochure around that. But there are different steps. It's going to be training and education and so forth as well. So.
And you'll reach out, I'm sure, to that question. That'll be indicated on the registration report that I send over to you, Ida. So.
Oh, perfect. Then I follow up on that. Thank you.
Perfect. And then, Dawn, we have a question for you. We are currently a Sage partner. How does the Acumatica partner program compare?
Oh, that's an interesting question. Well, what I have learned over the years from the Sage partners that have joined our channel, they seem to be really, really happy with the Acumatica program. One thing, first and foremost, is that we don't ever do an end around our partners. So we'll never call your customers trying to sell support plans. We're never going to try to sell add-ons to them, those types of things. Everything we do is through partners. Another thing that's very different is that our margin structure is very easy to understand, and it's purely based on net new sales and renewing subscriptions. That's it. So it's very easy. The thresholds are comparatively low. And what partners from the Sage channel love about Acumatica's partner program is that there is no fee to join the program. There's no annual fee to maintain your partnership status with Acumatica. And also, just about every bit of training that you would need for a gold or silver level certification is offered free of charge through the partner portal. So we really believe in putting our money where our mouth is in supporting partners, and rather than giving you fees for training and program fees and all that, we'd rather have you reinvest that money in ensuring your people are well trained and that you've got your marketing ramped up and so forth. I've also had Sage partners mention that they were very surprised and pleased at how robust our portal was, with all sorts of information, not only training, but marketing, sales tips, competitive information, support, product downloads, roadmap, and so forth. So I think there are a lot of things that would put us at an advantage, not only over Sage, but other partner programs out there, and we'd love the opportunity to talk with you about it.
And we have a question from Bo. Thank you so much, Bo, for your question. What is the average length of time for implementation? And I think that's for you, Ida.
Yes, I think so too. So I would say somewhere between 2 to 6 weeks. It depends a little bit about the master data and a little bit how much that needs to be cleaned and those kinds of things. But somewhere around 2 to 6 weeks, I would say.
And we have a question from David. Thank you, David, for this question. Partner pricing information availability. So do you have partner pricing published anywhere, Ida, or would that be something that you would offer after talking with a partner?
So we would offer that after talking to a partner. What I can say though is that we have, if you Google eazystock pricing, you will land on our pricing page for the solution, which is going to give you a rough ballpark number what our solution cost. And it's typically based on functionality and inventory value. So unlimited SKUs, unlimited users, and so forth.
And we have another question from Tanya. Thank you, Tanya. We are currently evaluating Acumatica. Could you provide more detail on how you integrate with Acumatica? Is the GUI you showed the Acumatica UI or eazystock's? Also,
it was. Oh yes.
it's like a multiple part question, so I can announce the next part of it after you address those two. Ida.
So the print screen I show was in eazystock. So there are actually two different types. There are something called embedded, which for example are JAWS systems, if you're familiar with that, and then you have connected, which is eazystock. So we have all the integration connections and everything on our end. So there are no requirements on doing any changes in Acumatica.
And then she has a second part to this question, Ida. Also, do you communicate with other ERP systems since they're evaluating ERPs from eazystock or just Acumatica?
So just to give some background is that the product is from Synchron, as I mentioned, and they have been working with big enterprise style accounts. So over the years, we have been, I would almost say, integrated to all ERP systems out there. But only with Acumatica that we have kind of a seamless, already built connection. Other ways, if we integrate with Epicor or SAP or for M3 or something like that, you use flat files or text files, CSV files, as the communication bridge. So for us, it doesn't matter. It's just different type of integrations.
And then we have another question from David. Thank you. Typical implementation timing for the average customer.
Was that? Yeah, I think wasn't that similar to that one? I think it's around 2 to 6 weeks, 2 to 6 weeks approximately.
Yeah, Bo and David both had this similar question. So I'm not seeing other questions right now. So I'm going to leave.
So Adrian, what I'll do, I'll take the opportunity to number one, thank Ida. Thank you so much for the presentation. Great job. Thanks to everyone who attended and for your interest in Acumatica. Please do take the poll question here if you have a moment. Adrian, thanks to you as well. And if you have any questions for me, I think Adrian will be displaying my my information, my contact information as well. And so, again, thank you so much. I apologize. I have to run to start another webinar, but I really, really appreciate everybody's attendance today. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Dawn. I'm going to go ahead and leave this poll up just for a minute, but we have 67% of you who have voted so far. So it'd be great to get everybody to vote, if possible. And I'm going to close that out at 60% voting, and then I'm going to share the results. And it looks like 50% of the 67% who voted are interested in Acumatica Partner Program. 50% are interested in learning more about eazystock IDA. And all of this will be reflected on the follow-up report that you two will be getting. So I'm sure you'll follow up with everyone who indicated they'd like a phone call. So
Perfect.
thank you, everyone, for taking time out of your day. We know it's hard to come by, and we really appreciate you joining us. And please do look out for future invitations for our Acumatica webinar. We have several on the calendar, and let us know if you have any questions. Take care. Thank you, Ida and Dawn.
Thank you, everyone.